Hey guys, who's on right now? Hi Vicky. Hey Carolyn.
All right,
Hi Joanne. All right.
we're all set to go live here.
Oh, we're on live already.
And here we go. Let's go back to this. Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. Time for another episode of Health Talks with Dr. Trin. The one show that tries to take all the scary stuff out there and make it seem manageable. Put it in terms we can understand, wrap our head around. With the man who helps people do this every day, Dr. Trin. Hey, Dr. Trin.
Hey there, Paul.
I think the issue this day is we've got to figure out how to stay positive through this stuff here. People are scary, and we got to get you to turn your computer down because I can hear it in
I am.
it's a loop back here.
Hold on, that will go away right now.
There we go.
There you go.
No, I can still hear it a little bit. Still hear it back coming through the computer there.
Hold on. I know how to fix this. Give me 1 sec.
All the joys of doing these things live and remotely here.
Yes. I think it's fixed now, right?
I think it's fixed. It is. So today's topic I want to talk about, and I know one we all want to talk about. Ready or not, here we come. We're going to go out and reopen the world. We talked about this last week. We talked about, are we ready, and how can we get ready to the extent that we can control any of this? Safe distancing, continue to follow the safe practices. Don't go crazy and just go back to the way it was. Don't just throw caution to the wind. This is not disappearing. But through this all, I understand there is a mental health issue. We are scared. We are uncertain. And we want to just cover our ears and cover our eyes and say it never happened. And we just want to run back and pick up our life where we left off, which means running to the beach. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going to wash my hands anymore. I'm washing my hands of this whole mess here. So not only is that dumb, but how do we deal with this fact that this isn't a one-day crisis? It's going to wear on us for a while.
Yeah, I think besides the physical fear of this virus, I think it's taken an emotional toll on many of us. I have read recently of about physicians or healthcare workers committing suicide.
Can you believe that there was a big one that caught everybody's attention? It was a woman who, I believe, worked in an emergency room, and she just became, nobody will never know. She didn't leave a note explaining it, but she was an otherwise happy, positive person out in the front lines, and apparently it just overwhelmed her.
Yeah, and so I have read about suicides going up from this pandemic. I've read about um, the number of child abuse going up, the number of spousal abuse going up, alcoholism increasing. So mental health, emotional health is a huge factor that has resulted from this.
And we've got to
And
brace ourselves for, we are in a war. This is not a once and done fight. And if it's an ongoing struggle, an ongoing battle, and people will continue to get sick and, yes, maybe even die around us here as we venture back out, until we get a vaccine, until we know we can stop this dead in its tracks, how do we keep moving forward? How do we pace ourselves?
well, it has to be paced
Right.
because we don't want to see wave number two,
Yes.
right?
Right.
We don't want to see wave number two.
And let's talk about that for 1 second. Can imagine now we've all been cooped up. We've all done this enormous sacrifice to our mental health, to our pocketbooks, to our health of our businesses, and we are just chomping to get out. In fact, almost like throw caution to the wind. I can't do this anymore. Even if we should stay inside, we're not going to anymore. So as we rush back out, imagine if we have to go through this again.
Rush out with a mask and
Yeah.
stay 6 feet away from everyone else.
Yeah, right. I don't have it on here, but I got it with me now all the time. There it is. I've got a little designer mask here, you know.
Yeah. One thing I found that was helpful,
Hmm.
and I've actually done this even pre-COVID, is a lot of it is mindset.
Exactly.
A lot of it's mindset. We could have just complete fear
Hmm.
and stay cooped up. We could have, we could have anger that we have been cooped up and just run out in the wind
Hmm.
without
And
precautions.
angry. Who didn't take care of this? Somebody's got to be to blame. Somebody's going to, I got to take it out on somebody. Right.
And is this all a
Yeah,
conspiracy?
right.
And who's to blame behind this? I've been watching all these videos on, these conspiracy videos, and is it true? Is it not true?
Right.
Um, but mindset's really important. Trying to keep positive is important.
Hmm.
One way that I have tried to keep positive is there are nights where I have this little notebook,
Hmm.
and there are nights before bedtime, and I try to make this a habit. I would sit there and 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 think of 5 things that I've been thankful for the day.
Hmm.
5 things that I've been thankful for the day, and and I would write it down in my little notebook.
Hmm.
What am I thankful for today? And we'll realize, oftentimes, that you could be cooped up, depressed all day, but I'm thankful I'm alive today.
Yeah, right.
I'm thankful there's food in the fridge,
Right.
right? I'm thankful for sunlight. I was able to take a walk.
Hmm.
And I think if we could make a habit out of these little small things, such as thinking about 5 things you're thankful for, it helps with mindset.
Hmm. We have
It
a lot
helps
of
to,
entrepreneurs. This is primarily a business channel, community channel. And I can't tell you how many very, very successful people credit that as one of their routines they do every day. Before you start, before you focus on all the fight I'm going to go through today here, all the people mad, all the emergencies popping up, the fires spreading, just take a moment and think about, well, at least I have my health. At least I have my kids. At least I have live in it's a beautiful day out, whatever it is. Find something positive to pull yourself back in, because otherwise you can become consumed with the negative, and that will
yeah,
consume you.
I have turned off the TV. The
Yes.
last time we have watched TV was several days ago.
Hmm. And turn
I
off the noise for a while. I found myself endlessly watching, because I'm a political junkie, and even I can't take the anger and everything anymore. It's like turn it down for a while, turn it off for a while.
Yeah, so you turn on CNN, and CNN is blaming the right, and you turn on Fox News, and Fox News is blaming the left. It's
Right.
news is no longer news.
And
It's
we will
all
have plenty of
commentary.
time to ascribe blame later on. Right now, we're trying to get through this thing, and it's
Yes.
not helpful to. Now, I get it. I'm as angry as many other people. I could go off on a rant here about all sorts of aspects of this. Why we weren't better prepared, and why we didn't react quicker, and all those kinds of. That's not a left or right thing. That's just a general feeling like, come on, this is the job of somebody. But at this moment in time, that's not going to make me healthy.
Right. I was wondering, since we have this on Facebook Live,
Hmm.
and I'm reading Christy's comment here, trying to say positive, but someday it is exhausting. Yes, it
Yes,
is.
very exhausting.
It is exhausting. What if we had a Facebook Live campaign
Mm.
where every day we post 3 things on our feed that we're thankful for?
I'll go back. Let's one thing. I think too often we try and
Do one
overdo
thing, right?
everything. Just pick one thing and put it out there every day. Today, I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful I saw a butterfly. I'm thankful I'm alive. I'm thankful for my grandkids. Whatever. Don't force yourself into
Right.
another burden. Oh, see, I forgot.
Yeah,
I only
yeah.
came up with 2 today. I'm a failure. One.
That's right.
Just the famous. I think it's a Chinese saying. Maybe I'm not supposed to say anything about China these days, but the famous Chinese saying that a a trip of 1,000 miles starts with one step, or something to that effect. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one
Yes.
step.
Yes.
If we could take one step and do one thing, I like that. I'll do that, because I can get into the same rant as everybody else. I'm probably more on the left than the right, but I can get angry about lots of things here.
Oh,
But
yes.
anger is not going to help us through this.
No, no. Anger feeds anger.
Yes, and I guess what we're beginning to realize, and I don't think I've wrapped my head around it, I don't think most people have, is this isn't going to go away quickly. We're going to deal with this in one way or another for quite a while. The economic effect. Will it, the virus itself isn't going away. It may temporarily, it may come back. The effects of how this is going to change us, all of this is going to take a while. And I wonder if there isn't going to be, I almost call it post-traumatic stress, where at first you think, I'm okay. I remember years ago, I think I said this on the show, my wife had a car accident, a horrible car accident, and was T-boned. Now fortunately she wasn't injured or anything. The seat belts and the airbags came on, but the car spun around. Quite frightening. I raced over there. She called me on her cell phone seconds after, and I raced over there. How are you? How are you? No broken bones, no blood. Everything's okay. Everybody survived. It wasn't till later that we started understanding the effects, the trauma on her, the trauma to her body. In the moment, it felt like it was okay. I think in the moment, too many of us are saying, I got this. And it isn't until later that we're going to break down or cry or be scared or angry or whatever. I think we're going to exhibit some of this as a post-traumatic result. What do you think of that?
I think so, because sometimes when you are engrossed in the current problem, the emotional trauma that results from it comes later on,
Yes, right.
and
How do
and
you
so
deal with,
that's
as a physician? You're there to heal the body, but the mind has such power over the body. Of it can make you sick, it can make you crazy.
100%. 100%. We know that depression lowers the immune system.
Really? Okay.
And oh, yeah, and that's been documented through studies. We
So
know
so
that,
imagine that. Just take that one for example. One of the things is we've got to build up our immune system to be as strong as possible. There's a bug out there waiting to infect us here. And the stronger your immune system is, it seems like some of it could be genetic, some of it could just be roll of the dice, but it seems like the stronger your immune system, the better your chances are that you'll weather this storm and make it through okay.
very important. Yeah, I had two talks yesterday on Zoom to two different organizations, but the focus was on doing what you can to keep your immune system strong. We know that coronavirus actually uses the immune system
Hmm.
to kill us. Most patients
Talk
with
about that. Yeah, how did I explain that one? It uses our own body's defenses against us here?
heck yeah, what happens is this: coronavirus, when you get admitted to the hospital, many are admitted to the ICU because of lung issues
Right,
related to that. We call that a viral pneumonia,
right.
right? Viral pneumonia. And what happens is our immune system tries to fight the virus. The virus has gotten into your lungs,
Mm-hmm.
and our immune system tries to fight that virus. In the process of the immune system attacking the virus,
Mm-hmm.
it creates inflammation of your lungs.
Mm.
The inflammation occurs in the lung, and if you can imagine what happens when you have, let's say, a cut in your arm or if you stepped on a nail or cut in your leg,
Right.
in the first few minutes, what happens to that area around that injury?
It gets red, gets inflamed, right? It
It
swells
gets
up,
red,
right?
it gets inflamed, it gets swollen,
Hmm.
it gets painful. That is inflammation from the immune system going to the area to defend itself against that, that wound, that opening,
And
right?
what does make it, is it, explain in more detail? I never really understood what makes your skin swell up and it all turn red just because I got a cut there.
Yes, the immune system releases um, factors that we call cytokines,
Mm.
and so there are different types of proteins that get released, and these factors causes fluid circulation to build up in the area. It's kind of like a war zone that
Hmm.
builds up. And so that's part of the healing process. But as part of the healing process, debris is created
Hmm.
from inflammation.
I'm not
Debris is
sick here,
created.
but I'm getting a itchy nose and I don't want to touch it. So, right,
It's like debris is created from inflammation.
right.
Now, take that picture of an area of swelling, heat, redness.
Hmm.
Take that picture and bring all that swelling, heat, and redness into your lungs.
Mm. Yeah.
That is what's happening when coronavirus is in your lungs and the immune system is trying to fight it.
Is that what they call? You said the word, and I'm going to mispronounce it. Cytokine. These
It's a,
cytokine storms or something they talk about.
yes, yes, that's the cytokine storm. That's the cytokine storm. And so if you can imagine a swollen leg, a swollen ankle, it's red, swollen, heat. You take all that swelling, all that debris, you put it into your lungs.
Hmm.
That is why patients die from coronavirus, because the inflammation, the extra fluid, the debris from inflammation is in your lungs, and now your lungs cannot breathe
Mm.
because it's trying to breathe in between all this inflammation.
Hmm.
This is why patients die. This is why they go on ventilators, intubators, right?
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
intubated because there's no oxygen exchange.
Hmm.
And there's no oxygen exchange because of the fluid, the inflammation that is now in your lungs. It doesn't allow oxygen to be
And when
exchanged.
oxygen, you're not taking in oxygen, what happens? I mean, I know you're struggling for breath. Do your other organs start to shut down? Does it that
That's right.
right?
Because you're because every cell requires oxygen,
Hmm.
right? And to get that oxygen, it comes from the lungs, right? You're breathing in oxygen, you're breathing out carbon dioxide. But now imagine your lungs is now flooded. It's flooded with inflammation cells. It's flooded with fluid from the inflammation cells. And because it's flooded, your lung cells, right, the alveoli sacs can no longer breathe,
Hmm.
which is why we put patients on respirators, right? We intubate them. There's this big talk on, are we going to have enough respirators? Are we going
Right.
to have enough ventilators, right?
Right. Right.
This is exactly why, because we flood the lungs with inflammation. That inflammation comes from the immune system as it's trying to fight
So,
against COVID.
so in effect, in a weird way, it's sort of like what you're saying about the economy. The cure is worse than the disease. The body's attempt to fight this is what kills you. It overdoes it.
That's right. The body's attempt to fight this. And and so I gave a talk yesterday on how to keep your immune system, as optimal as you can.
Hmm.
It was a talk on gut health, and we'll do that one of these days.
Hmm.
And there are ways to maintain an optimal immune system so that it doesn't necessarily overreact,
Mm.
right? It doesn't necessarily overreact.
Hmm.
And
So, is there
um,
any evidence of that? That so, if I've got a stronger immune system, not just physically stronger body, but if have a stronger immune system, then I'm more prepared to battle this. I don't have to go to the extremes to call in every little cell and army in there to rush to this spot and overreact. I can.
that's That's right, because those who are dying from COVID are those who are somehow uh, immune compromised,
Hmm.
or they have chronic medical conditions
Hmm.
that have, directly or indirectly been connected to not having a great
Weaken
immune
their body.
system.
They have diabetes. They have heart issues. They have whatever else.
Diabetes, hypertension, heart issues, and things of that sort.
Well,
That
hypertension, that's something we can, I know there is, I know there are, inherited aspects of that. I know there are dietary aspects and other things, but it is certain things that we could do, I would think, to at least help that or control some of that hypertension. That's one that it seems like we have more control over than others.
certainly, the primary thing is probably just nutrition, right?
Right.
How much sodium is in our diet?
Oh,
How much sodium is in a bag of chips?
yeah, right.
Right? How much sodium is in,
Sodium's no good for you. That tastes so good.
yeah, it does. Right? And so this is what happens. The American diet doesn't necessarily, keep an eye on the sodium content of what we're eating these days.
Right.
Patients with lung problems, right? So Christy mentioned asthma. Folks with asthma, folks who've been compromised pulmonary wise,
Hmm.
emphysema, COPD, history. I think
Yeah, your lungs not working well
your lungs not
anyway, and
working well, and
right.
and that puts you at risk because coronavirus gets into your lungs, and that's how it gets most folks.
It seems to get into your lungs faster than they thought. It seems to whereas a cold or a flu, I know it's neither of those. It's more related to the cold, I guess, than it is to the flu. Is that correct?
Well, what's interesting is coronavirus is a family of viruses, right?
Right.
So the common cold is a
Hmm.
coronavirus.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the common cold is coronavirus. So the only thing is the common cold attaches itself to your nose.
Right.
And when it attaches itself inside your nose, all the symptoms is the symptoms of the common cold.
Right.
Whereas coronavirus, if it gets down to your lungs and attaches down there, that's really where the problem is
Right. Exactly.
for most folks.
So let's go back and wrap up where we started, because all of a sudden you got me scared and tense, and I don't want to hear anymore. Turn it off. I'm not listening to Dr. Trin. I'm not listening to the news. I'm just going to whistle and go about pretend. I mean, we can't be we can't be Pollyanna. We can't be Little Mary Sunshine. We can't pretend it's not there like little children, afraid of the dark. We've got to be realistic. We've got to stay alert. We are in a battle, but we've got to pace ourselves because the battle is long, and we'll wear ourselves out, and we'll make ourselves more sick and more susceptible.
Tomorrow in Orange County, tomorrow's Friday, right?
Right.
Tomorrow in Orange County, I believe things are starting to open up.
I think
Tomorrow's
they
like
are.
open up day,
Yeah. Right.
or and it's not 100%, but it's like a phase
Right.
opening up. So I think I think folks are home and long enough where they feel really cooped in,
Oh, yeah.
and emotionally, physically, mentally, and most of us are ready to
But
to
then
do
we're
something.
like little kids. Then we're going to run out and run to the beach and pack ourselves in. We're going to do childlike reaction. How do we stop that inner child in us? The inner child is the one that's scared of the dark. The inner child says, I can't take anymore. I can't process anymore. I'll just pretend it's not happening. Or the other one is like, oh, it's all okay now, and I'm just going to race back. Yeah, all three of those. We can deal with we've got to learn to deal with the fear. We do it by educating ourselves and using our mind and not reacting emotionally out of anger and all this other stuff. And we do it by taking a deep breath and saying, okay, this is going to be a struggle. It's going to be a fight, and we can win this. We don't go crazy. We don't act like children.
Right. There are several parameters to look at when you think about opening up. One parameter is your curve flattening?
Right.
Right, where you live, is your curve flattening? Is the hospitalization rates flattening out?
Right.
Is the hospital admission rates flattening out?
Right.
Good thing for Orange County, I think we're doing well,
Right.
right? Knock on wood.
Right.
It's certainly flattening. Uh, the second parameter is to make sure again we have access um, in the hospital in case we have the second wave that goes up when we go out.
Right.
That hospitals have access to for hospital admissions
Right.
related to going out, and that
Because the
we have
majority of people will survive, the vast majority of people will survive, and even those who get really sick
yes,
can survive. Only if, though, we have the ventilators and respirators and all that. If the hospital system's overwhelmed, the fear is, as happened in Italy and some other places, people needlessly died. People who could have otherwise been saved couldn't. Now you're doing triage like in a field hospital and out in the battle zone. I could save all these if I had enough people, enough time, but I don't. So you live, you die. I mean, that was the
yes,
overwhelm. Nobody wanted to say it that way, but that's what we were afraid of, overwhelming the system where people who otherwise could have been saved wouldn't be because we didn't have the resources to deal with it.
and that's what we saw in Italy,
Right.
and I believe we acted at least in California, Orange County, early enough to avoid an Italy situation,
Right.
which is great. Two things: if you go out, mask on,
Right.
right? If you go out, mask on, and and social distancing for now.
And wash your hands and social distancing and
Right,
please, for God's sakes, if you start to, I was itching my nose, so I'm trying to wipe it with a tube. But if you really think you've got any issue whatsoever, don't bring it out and share it with other people. I mean, come on.
yeah. Sometimes sharing is not caring.
Yeah.
It used to be
Right.
sharing is caring.
Yeah.
It used to be sharing is caring,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it
There's some.
depends on what you're
I don't
sharing,
want to
huh?
share your runny nose here and all this other stuff. Well, I think this is something we'll have to address over and over again because I think it is going to take a constant reminder. It's going to take our brain. How do you survive scary things? You recognize the reality, you don't let it overwhelm you, and you don't become consumed with it. You try and you find ways to stay positive, to stay focused, and to stay the course. If you're in a storm, in a boat, or an airplane or something here, you don't just suddenly panic and start going all over the place. You buckle
Right.
down and you focus on what you need to focus on. In fact, we did an interesting show years ago. I'll leave you with this on people who it was actually a health and training show, and they talked a
Right.
lot about exercise and diets. And it was a big gym that trains like SWAT team members and special forces and stuff. And the one I said, "What have you learned all the years of training these extreme athletes, extreme on people under extreme pressure?" And he said one thing. He said I didn't expect to see, and he said I think it's the secret to their success. They don't panic. Where the rest of us, when the bullets start flying, we panic and start running around like crazy. They stay calm. They literally keep their heart rate low. They stay focused, and they survive. Those that suddenly their heart rate spikes up and their adrenaline rush and they're crazy and they're fearful or they're angry or whatever, those don't make it. They don't make it through the battle,
Yeah, you don't think straight when you're panicking,
right?
and
Or
you can
angry.
panic.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Or when you're angry, because you can panic from the left, you can panic from the right politically,
right.
and nobody thinks straight, and so it's good just sometimes to shut off the TV and just be rational.
I'll tell you one other thing too that I think would help is reach out to somebody. We
Yes,
get wrapped up in our own isolation, and then it's a little squirrel cage. You start thinking about it and focusing about it. At least I do, and then it gets amplifies. It gets worse and worse and worse. I keep running over that wheel, that little hamster wheel that I keep running over, and I never get anywhere here. I think that the more you reach out and focus less on yourself but somebody else, I think that's how doctors and stuff survive. You're not worried about your own safety. You're there helping other people, and that helps
hmm
you focus on something other than your own panic or fear or anger or whatever emotion is flooding you at that moment.
yes, yes, definitely, super important with that. And then the other thing is I would and this is a little uh, thought for you guys who are on Facebook here.
Hmm.
I think what I want to do is maybe once a day post You know,
One thing.
one. You can do one thing
I want to start with one thing. Yeah.
that you are appreciative of,
Right.
um, and see the and create a kind of like an appreciation mindset on Facebook.
And share it with not just your own personal journal. Put it on this site, this
Put on
Facebook site,
Facebook.
and
Yeah,
let's share it with each other because that's how we'll help each other. We'll get to each other, folks. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I should focus on that. Yeah, they're
yes,
right.
yes,
And we'll
definitely,
support each other that way.
definitely, and maybe I'll start that today. Let's start an
Okay.
appreciation campaign, guys. Let's on Facebook, and one thing a day that you're appreciative, and post it. And I think we will learn of the blessings that we have,
And
despite
we'll find some
being cooped up.
commonality. I'm not the only one
Right.
feeling that. We'll start to build a community out of this. We've got to come together. We can't. Isolation only breeds fear and anger.
That's right. Sharon has a quick question.
Okay,
How soon is the second wave supposed to be coming? Weeks or month? Sharon,
Sharon,
the
we're trying to
second
stay
wave.
positive now. Here, we're trying not
No, the
to.
second wave. Uh, we're going to monitor it based on coming back out again, and allowing folks to go back to maybe restaurants, and as we open up our society again, we need to monitor for that second wave carefully. If you open up society and you know that it takes 5 to 6 to 7 days for symptoms to start coming, then that's kind of the timeline that you measure. A week out from when you open up
So
to
2 weeks from
see.
now, we'll know whether or not this is working or whether it's starting to
Exactly.
spike again here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a week to 2 weeks from now, we will know. And it's okay to have a small spike, and we expect that because people are coming out again. But it's not okay to increase a whole bunch of hospital admissions, because then we're doing something wrong,
Right.
right? If I go back to the ER, and everyone in there has got COVID, then we're doing something wrong with the way we open up. Maybe we open up a little bit differently, or maybe we open up a little bit slower, right?
Let's leave people with one little hope here. Everybody's hoping that the sun will kill this thing, that the heat that's coming upon us here will start on its own, because it doesn't seem like most viruses, even the cold or the flu, survive in heat. They're fragile little creatures here. They tend to survive in colder climates than they do in warmer climates. Nobody knows if this one will follow that pattern, but is there hope that the heat will, if nothing else, save us or curtail
That
this or
is,
kill us?
yeah, that's certainly our hope. That's certainly our hope. We don't know yet, but we will soon find out, as we're now in May and the summer is coming, and so we'll see. That's
So if there is a
certainly my
second
hope.
wave, is it more likely there may be there may be a slow go up or a giant spike if we go crazy and start hugging each other and throw caution to the wind? It seems like the second wave is more likely in the fall when the regular flu season hits us, November, December, when it's coldest and this thing starts to happen
It's
again.
certainly possible. And again, having a second wave, I would say it won't be unexpected to
Right,
have a second wave. How we manage that second wave is important.
right.
We got to have access for hospital beds. We have to have access for ICUs. How we manage it is super important.
And if we
And
could test quicker, am I correct? We could isolate, then we could be like antibodies. If we found there was an outbreak in Fountain Valley, I don't know why I picked Fountain Valley, but suddenly today there's an
I,
outbreak of Fountain Valley, we could isolate those people. We could trace who they were in contact with, get
yes,
them to
yes,
isolate themselves, and that population where it suddenly spiked up and infected, we could keep them away from everybody else. It's when we don't know that we say, then shut it all down.
yes, yes, that's exactly. So we plan to monitor all that as we open up again.
Okay. Well, I hope people will come back and monitor this space and this conversation. And if you have topics you'd like to address, please put them in the show notes here or put them on the Facebook page. We'll come up with what topics each and every week. They won't always be coronavirus, but for the moment, that seems to be the conversation on everybody's mind. But I think I'd like to hear more about healthy gut. I'd like to hear about how we need to adapt to this new reality and use it as a chance to grow and get better, not just to stay in fear and wait for the second wave to come and the third wave and the 12th wave and the 100th wave. We can do things ourselves to make ourselves stronger from this, not just for this wave, but for the rest of our life.
Oh, yes, that's our goal and our plan. So we'll continue chatting Thursdays.
Okay. How do people reach you if they want to know more from Dr. Trinh? You're everywhere. You work with Memorial Hospital. You work with Alzheimer's. You work with Irvine Clinical Research. I don't know when you sleep, but you've got lots of...
They can reach me right here on Facebook.
All right, Health Talks with Dr. Trinh. Any more medical missions coming? I would expect that you're not traveling to Vietnam or any other places in the near future.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we canceled our March trip. We had a trip lined up with UC Irvine. We had students from UCI and some graduate students as well that are planning to go. That has been canceled. Our next trip is supposed to be next month, and that's probably not going to happen. We had a Vietnam, Thailand trip, and so we're taking it month by month.
Right.
But you know what? The need is here at home.
Yeah. Right.
So we are now serving at home. This past week, we had teams that sorted out over 30,000 masks.
Really? Wow. Phenomenal.
That we had acquired, and that was delivered to about 30 emergency room departments and urgent cares, and delivered to Laguna Woods as well.
I was going to say, the places like that, right?
And if you guys need a mask, just contact me. We'll have masks for you.
Okay, because somebody was asking me, I went and bought one of these online, but not everybody can find a mask these days. So
yeah, contact me on Facebook. We can certainly help get you guys some masks.
Okay, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Take that step today.
Yes, I love it.
Write down one thing today, right now, before you leave this site. Write down one thing you're grateful for. And each and every day, come back here and make it part of your routine to put it here and share it with others. As we continue to try and build a conversation and a tribe here to support ourselves and improve ourselves and get us through this, not just this immediate crisis, but whatever comes next.
Let's call it the Gratefulness Project.
There you go.
On Facebook.
There you go.
One thing you're grateful for, guys. And,
okay. I'm going there right after this. I'm going to think of something here and come up with something. I'm grateful for my grandkids here. All right.
That's perfect.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys.
All right.
And we'll chat again next Thursday, and I'll come intermittently and if I think of stuff to share.
You've been listening to another great example of why Dr. Trinh is so comforting in these difficult times and helps put it in such simple, graspable terms here. As we continue to have our Health Talks with Dr. Trinh each and every Thursday right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.